trying to get my head in the right place.
Try that every morning.
Maybe it's a little bit better. Well, good morning all, and welcome to our session this morning. We're happy to be with you. I see we've got several folks still coming on in, but my name is E. Jane Caraway. I am the Director of Life Sciences for Georgia Department of Economic Development, and we're glad to talk about Georgia Made this morning, and we're talking with 3 companies located in Georgia that are in the life sciences industry, and we're going to talk about why Georgia is very important in our manufacturing and our logistics and the global supply chain around the world. So I will start off if we can and ask Aaron to start introducing himself, if you would please, Aaron.
Just myself or myself and my company?
Oh, yourself and your company, I apologize.
Okay, no worries, just wanted to clarify. My name's Aaron Mestman. I am the North American Sales Manager for Gerresheimer, and we are, our U.S. Medical Plastics Division headquarters are located here in Peachtree City, Georgia. We have about 40 production sites worldwide where we specialize in, goodness gracious, diagnostic disposables, respiratory, drug delivery, primary packaging, for the pharma and med device industries. We do glass and plastics, though I work in the plastics side. Let's see here. I've been with Gerresheimer for a little over a year. Prior to Gerresheimer, I looked after the United States business for Armstrong Medical. They are a UK headquartered manufacturer of medical devices and medical plastics as well. And so here at our Peachtree City location, we have about 150,000 square foot facility. 80,000 square feet of that is production space, and about 65,000 of that clean room class 8 production space. We employ about 300 people and run about 60 injection molding machines and 5 fully automated assembly lines. And so that's myself and Gerresheimer.
Excellent. Thank you, Aaron.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
And Mike, if you would go next and talk about you and your company.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Mike Kalelis. I'm the CEO of MyCart. MyCart is a 45-year-old contract development and manufacturing organization. We're located in the Upper West Side of Atlanta. We employ over 200 people and sit on about 11 acres of land with 100,000 square feet of facilities and capacity. And our business is related to pharmaceutical services, specifically in the oral solid dose medications, or what a layperson would call pills, and non-sterile liquids, as well as serialized packaging. So I've been in this industry for now 39 years. Started out in the Boston area in Boston Biotechnology, and eventually became the CEO of MyCart here in the fall of 2018.
Excellent. Thank you. And Scott, if you would then do the same, introduce yourself and your company, please.
Great. Thanks, Eugene. Thanks very much. Pleasure to be here. I can do this real quick. We do everything Michael does at MyCart better. We did it. We're a contract development manufacturing organization as well, and we also do oral solid dose. We have packaging capabilities. We have our DEA license, so we can do controlled substance, and we also have high potency capabilities. We've been in Georgia for about 35 years. We're what most folks down here in Georgia know as a non-pharmaceutical. That's kind of our lineage. I've been in the industry for about 30 years, 5 of them down here, and the rest up in New Jersey. So I'm a New Jersey transplant. We have about 200 people in the organization. It's a combination of manufacturing and pharmaceutical development folks. We do everything from pre-IND development work all the way through commercial manufacture for some of the larger pharmaceutical companies that we know of. Thanks for having me.
Well, Scott, I'll just stay with you for a second. If you'll tell me why. Well, one, I know all of you have moved into Georgia, but Scott, why is your company located in Georgia, and why do you enjoy being here?
So I tell you why I'm here, and I can tell you why maybe a little bit of why the company is. The company, as I said, has been here for 35 years. It was founded by Don Panos, who was one of the founders of Mylan, and pretty, I think, well known in Georgia, certainly in the Gainesville area. I relocated down here because of the company, because of the opportunity. I think we have a lot to offer. I love the fact that Georgia is very business friendly. I think my colleagues would agree with that. It's got a fantastic workforce. Where we maybe are shy in some of the areas we recruit and relocate, it's very easy to get folks to come down here. I tell everybody, and I'm half kidding, that my two favorite days in my life are the day my daughter was born and the day I sold my snowblower. My wife gets mad about that because she thinks about our wedding day, but Georgia's a great place to be. The economy's fantastic. The people, I think, are second to none. I mean, I love New Jersey. It's home and always will be. But I'm not going back. We have too much of a good thing going on down here.
We're not going to let you go back, Scott.
And since I've been down here, we've expanded our site to a second location about 4 miles away. So in local government was extremely accommodating and helping us with that growth, as has been the state level as well.
Aaron, how about you?
You have the world's busiest airport, easy access in and out for customers. You've got a very business friendly environment. It's centrally located. In our industry, at least prior to COVID, you would do a lot of traveling. Your customers come see you, you go see your customers. So it's centrally located. Those are a few of the good reasons that immediately come to mind. A number of skilled universities and technical colleges. I think Georgia Tech issues more engineering degrees, I want to say, than any other university in the country, by far, at least more biomedical engineering degrees. So access to as Scott and Mike were saying, or I'm sorry, Scott was saying, a good workforce, skilled workforce. So
excellent, and you're correct. I mean, their biomedical engineering is in the top on 1, 2, or 3 every single year and has years. They're also a lead in women in biomedical.
Yes, I wrote about that in an article recently for our own employee newsletter. So, yeah.
And Mike, I know that we have not got you fully living here. We just get you to live here part-time, but tell us why you are here and what you like about being in Georgia.
Well, it's kind of interesting to note for us and Scott, we're both in the same industry, that the pharmaceutical services type of businesses was always strong in the Southeast United States. Now, when you think of pharmaceuticals, you think of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and the Southeast had a lot of packaging and service companies. This company was founded by a Cuban immigrant named Mike Artechi. And so his family brought it here. Now we've stayed here because as a Bostonian, I can tell you that everybody tries to imitate a certain thing, and it has that. One is infrastructure, university infrastructure, very, very important. You have to have a vibrant city. Atlanta already is that. You have to have other corporate neighbors and a good skill set of labor, and the university and the student population here lends itself to that as well. But in addition, financial incentives, both government and private sector, tax incentives to keep your workforce here. Even though that's not the primary reason these established businesses are here. For new businesses, that's important. Otherwise, they'll be courted away to other places like the Carolinas or perhaps out towards the Southwest. And other professional services, legal services, accounting services, trade and professional societies. So Atlanta has all of the ingredients to become a very successful economic powerhouse, which it already is and on the way, similar to New York, Philadelphia, Boston, San Francisco, Houston, the Woodlands area. It really centers around technology and the infrastructure first, and it has all of those things.
Well, and guys, thank you for that. I'd like to throw one other one out there. We all know that we're dealing with things around COVID and still continue to deal with them. Could you talk a little bit about, and Mike, I'll start back with you again, about how COVID has impacted what you do in your business in Georgia?
Well, in some respects, we were fortunate and unfortunate in that what we do for a living here at MyCart deems us an essential business. And that is a legal term, essential, meaning that we have to stay open during the shutdown because making prescription drugs is essential to the health and well-being of people. So in one respect, we were able to stay open, therefore it didn't directly affect us like it did the restaurant and hospitality business. But on the other hand, we had a huge challenge, and that is how do you keep 200 people coming into your business every day safe? So we had early on, probably because we're mostly biology and chemistry people, we had a high understanding of what a pandemic is and infectious diseases. So our level of PPE and our level of air cleansing and air scrubbing and all of the mitigation steps were implemented back in January. As a result, we've had only 3 confirmed cases in our company. All three of those people have fully recovered. And when we did our contact tracing around us, nobody came back positive around those people, which I think is a testament to our mitigation practices. So we're able to continue to operate. We've continued to grow in 2020, but there's no doubt it's hurt us. We can't travel. Customers are not coming to visit us as much as they used to. It's affected the international supply chain, materials coming from Italy and China and India. That's where most of these active ingredients still come from these days. Certainly has impacted us and given us a challenge there. But fortunately, we've been able to weather the storm.
Excellent. Aaron, how about you?
So I would strongly echo everything Mike was saying, though we didn't get our measures into place until I want to say March, but we've been very successful at meeting the challenge. Throughout the pandemic, we have maintained a 100% quality on-time delivery schedule to every single one of the customers served by our Peachtree City facility. And we're making products there that affect the health and well-being of hundreds of millions of people globally every year. So that's something we are very proud of. Travel has always been a critical part of our business, visiting customers, having them visit us. And when the restrictions were put in place, I was quite worried about what it would mean for, how I effectively complete my role within the organization. And how are we going to continue winning business for our Peachtree City facility? And those worries were really unfounded. I've found that I'm busier than ever. We've had an influx of, instead of me having to go out and find business, people coming to us, companies wanting to move manufacture, transfer projects, say, back to the United States, maybe from China, so they have access to their lines. In fact, we've won 7 new projects. We've already started 5 of them, and we are now in the middle of a multi-million-dollar expansion. We're adding a new 600 square meter clean room to accommodate some of the new projects we brought on. We expect that to be qualified and operational in first quarter of next year. But it's really COVID, I want to say, is positively affected in the long term our business here in Peachtree City. So we're quite fortunate.
Well, thank you, Aaron. How about you, Scott?
Yeah, thanks, EJ. I think similarly to Mike, we had, and Aaron as well. I mean, we had I think a better understanding. I should say better understanding. We thought we had a better understanding of what we were getting into when the virus kind of took hold. We started in early February. We formed a pandemic team that every day. We put in new, processes and we did the contact tracing. We had procedures where only 2 folks at a time on different sides of the gowning room could be in. And we've been pretty fortunate that we've been, it has not impacted us. To me, there's 2 sides of our business when it comes to COVID. There's the commercial side where we need to produce medicine. And like Michael said, we're essential workers. These folks have to make medicine for people to count on. And I'm very proud of those folks that have been coming in every day. And their health and safety is the most important thing for me. And I'm sure that Mike and Aaron agree with that with their respective companies as well. So that has not stopped. We have still had our on time and full has been the highest it's ever been. That portion of the business has been running very well. I'm proud of our folks. The other side, which is the new business development and bringing in new customers because of the lack of travel, that's hurt us. But not only has it been the lack of travel, it's been something that's kind of hurt us. It's also our customers are not going in their offices either. So even if we could travel, we wouldn't really have anywhere to go. So we've had to get extremely creative, and I know everybody, including the folks in this call, probably want to bang their heads against their Zoom monitors after 8 months of doing it. That's been a very effective platform for us. So we've had to get creative, and one of the things that we rely on is good people, good contacts, and consistency, but never risking anybody's health in the process. And we have some business development executives that are in their specific territories that drive. They don't need to fly. We've left it up to them to when you feel comfortable meeting with a client, when that client feels comfortable meeting with you, let's do that. And we found creative ways to meet at Starbucks and share our deck on what our expertise is. So it's challenged us to think more creatively. The commercial business, supplying medication, to people, that can't stop. And again, our folks have been unbelievable. I can be prouder of them. And our business development folks creating that new line of business coming in, they've been very creative. It's had its challenges for sure. Again, that pandemic team that meets every day at 11:30, we never miss. We review the contact tracing, we review, who's been out. We've done, smart things where we've kept everybody that's, I hate to use the word non-essential, right? But folks that don't need the plant,
Right.
Finance, HR, myself, management, those IT, those folks are not here. They are still working from home. And we're doing that because we want to protect our manufacturing, our quality in our facilities, folks. And, it's all about the people and how they work together. And I think we've managed as well as I think we can in this environment. We'll continue to learn more and do what we can to improve as we move forward.
Well, I think that's all wonderful. You guys have been a great partner in doing things. And I know that Georgia, we have partnered with several companies that have kind of changed their mode. I mean, you guys are essential businesses, but we've had some businesses that changed to make, essential products that we needed and have been part. As you mentioned, every one of you, that partnership and those agreements in the community that exists in life sciences in Georgia, I think is part of this that we're talking about with this, how we are able to use Georgia manufacturers to supply around the globe. And it's pretty exciting. I want to step into how much of your business, I'll go back to you, Mike, is international, and how much of your sales, and then how much of your income. I know you mentioned a lot of the raw product being, international, but how much of your business overall is international?
Oh, well, as a Southeastern small company, we were very regional for a long time. And because the industry grew up in the United States and in Europe, we did a lot of business in the US. Today, it's somewhere probably close to the 80-20 rule. 80% or more of our business is domestic and 20% is international. I think that could change going forward as we roll out a new plan for this company. But just in general, the so-called Western world is still where the marketplace tends to be for finished drug product. So it stands to reason that we could do more in Europe. but it's unlikely that companies like us would necessarily sell finished product into China or Singapore and India. They have an insurmountable infrastructure already. Things are taking a slightly different complexion. We can talk more about that if you want, but MyCart does most of its business domestically.
How about you, Aaron?
So as far as Gerresheimer as a whole, the United States represents about a quarter, or 27% of our business. But you need to make a distinction, I guess, between where the revenue is and where the products eventually end up and are used. And I would say that even that 27% of business or sales that occur in the United States, a very significant number of those products end up being used overseas, you know, in point of care by patients or drug delivery in hospitals all over the globe. And it'd be really hard to estimate. I'd be curious to know myself, you know, where exactly all of our products end up, but they go everywhere. So, but as far as revenue, about a quarter of the company's overall revenue is in the States.
Thank you. And Scott?
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think we're probably closer to Mike and my part, and I think maybe 70-30. I honestly don't know the exact number. We have that though. You know, this is in our 10K. It's public. We manufacture Ritalin for Novartis for the world, so you know it's a big product, and that goes into you know, Europe and South America, North America. It's a big product, but the majority of the other products that we have are domestic. But one of the things that we've grown recently is our clinical trial packaging, and that obviously has international reach. So as that business continues to grow, I think we'll see that shift. You know, not only in the clinical packaging, but also you'll start to see some of the pharma follow that a little bit, is my guess. So we're not brave enough to start having sales folks in Europe yet. You know,
One day.
Aspirations for that, maybe one day, but right now there's still good money here.
All right.
Well, and Scott, when you mentioned and the testing, you know, guys, think a little bit beyond as we come out of COVID or these changes that are coming about, vaccines coming through, all of those kind of things. How do you think that's going to impact your business over the next couple of years? Your business in Georgia.
Maybe I'll, if you guys don't mind, I'll throw something out there and you can tear it up or jump in. One of the things that, you know, again, MyCart's a competitor. Mike and I are peers and friendly. I admire what they do down there very much. And one of the things that we align on is bringing manufacturing back to the States for pharmaceutical products, certainly in Georgia. We've had a lot of conversations with, you know, our local congressman, also our state congressman. And I think what happened with COVID was it put, you know, the reality that a lot of our manufacturing is done internationally, not, you know, ex-US. And I do think that regardless of who ends up becoming our president in the next, who knows when, I still think that there'll be another serious look at, you know, what risk are we willing to take with, you know, manufacturing of critical medications being, you know, not in our control. So I think, anyway, that was some of my thought on, you know, what this COVID environment could do to, you know, change the dynamic right now. Right now, I think it opened a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
Mike, how about you?
Yeah, well, echoing what Scott said, there is a renewed appreciation because of this pandemic for the fragile position that we have put ourselves in as a nation over the last 30 to 50 years. And that is the advent of almost rabid outsourcing for a cheaper source material, where more and more of it came from offshore sources, now puts us in a position where essential medicines are not as readily available to us in time of national crisis. And the pandemic is a perfect example of that. So we know that, as Scott said, no matter who becomes president, there is bipartisan support for bringing more active pharmaceutical ingredients back to the U.S. Scott and I are both in more of the finished drug product, where we need active ingredients to make the finished drugs that you buy at the pharmacy. But nevertheless, I think the concept that companies like GE Healthcare, where I worked for years, practice, and that's in country for country, is going to take hold here. That is that for the US market, a certain percentage of essential products need to be made here for this market. We started to see when I first came here, and I think it's something to continue, is that offshore pharmaceutical companies, successful companies, want to continue to do business in the United States, given the political environment, will give more serious consideration to relocating some of their businesses here. And think of the car industry, where BMW is made in the Carolinas, where Toyota is made in the United States for the US market. I think we're about to experience that same type of phenomenon in the allied health industry in general, but in pharmaceuticals particularly.
Guys, pardon me just a second. I had to grab a drink. So Mike, in tapping on that a little bit, and Aaron, I won't leave you out here, but expanding a little bit on how that you're seeing those essentials come back here, and how we grow that industry that are those that supply what you do, and how Georgia's positioned to do that.
Well, I think, to more accurately say, they're talking about coming back here. They haven't yet started to come back. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I think you'll start to see that. The way that Georgia, in the US in general, but the hot spots in the US, Georgia, the Northeast, San Francisco, the Pennsylvania, New York area, all of those regions, in Atlanta should be very much a part of that, will contribute, is by having, number one, the infrastructure. You have to have smart people who understand chemistry, biology, pharmaceutical processing, in order for those types of companies to consider, hey, let's build a plant in the western section of Atlanta. The other thing you need is to have the type of growth space. You know, it's pretty hard to grow in downtown New York or in downtown Boston right now. But if you look at Atlanta, we're prime in terms of development space, especially on the Route 20 corridor, perhaps, without impacting the rural vacation areas. There's plenty of industrial space, and that airport that Aaron said is going to be essential of how you move goods in and out quickly and efficiently. So Georgia is positioned to take advantage of that phenomenon. It won't be alone, but it's certainly in the top tier of the cities in the United States to take advantage of that, in my opinion.
Thank you. Aaron, you want to step in next there?
Sure, I'll keep it brief, but again, I don't disagree with anything that I'm hearing. I think having a very strong industry association, where even though we may be competitors in some respects and we complement each other in others, that everybody works together. And Georgia Bio is doing a great job so far. The other thing that comes to mind is, you know, the SARS epidemic. Long after that was, or I should say pandemic, was put to rest, the fear and the experience stayed with people. And so even when COVID is done with, I mean, there are people that were wearing masks when COVID hit already because of their experience with SARS, because it left that very long-lasting impression. So the effect of this is not going to go away even when, you know, they find a vaccine or the pandemic no longer exists. The effects are going to be far and long-reaching, and there's a lot of concern about, you know, I should say companies need access to their lines when they're manufacturing items, and they are going to have a think about doing that in the United States instead of doing that overseas for a long, long time, not just during COVID. It's going to stay with them. That's my thoughts anyway. So.
Good deal. And Scott, you want to add some there a little bit?
Well, sure. I mean, you know, I think we cover most of it. I think the most important thing is that we do something, right? There's been a lot of talk about it. Now we need to act upon it. And that's where, again, as I mentioned before, Mike and I have been on, different groups trying to influence legislation and talk to, senators and our congressmen to do something, help us with that, because people aren't just going to, there needs to be incentives as well to do it. Because if you're a manufacturing site, you got a plant overseas, there's a reason why you have it overseas, and it's a financial reason. So we need help to get those folks to bring it back, or we need to just find a way to do it and challenge that and make the buying portion of the API something where we're willing to make the investment to pull it back. But it needs to be acted upon, and that's where I think I agree with Mike. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, it's essential. We need to start moving in that direction now to make 3 and 5 years a reality for API to be manufactured here. So we don't have to worry about getting somewhere. As Aaron mentioned, watch your line when maybe you can't get on a plane.
One of the things that you all have mentioned as we've talked through this morning is our growing community of companies and how we work together, whether it be through Georgia Bio or our organization for foreign direct investment, or it be with our tax credits for when you create jobs, or your sales tax incentives, or those kind of things that make a difference. But let's step up a little further on that and talk about some of the other things that kind of maybe make a difference in the influence and that you're able to work with folks like at the CDC. We've mentioned Georgia Tech. We know Georgia State is a very strong, UGA has a wonderful research area, especially as it comes to animal vaccines and those kind of things. And the American Cancer Society has a wonderful facility here too. We've got a huge emphasis on global health and all that we can do with that. How does that help you or potentially help companies as they are looking to come here, and that influence? How do you think that plays a role in what we're doing in Georgia? Aaron, I'll start with you this time.
Both Scott and Mike have touched on it, but just simply having the capacity and the resources. I mean, you can't do anything without them, and we have that here. And we're hoping to stay ahead of the curve at Gerresheimer, hence the new expansion. And we're already, looking at plans for another expansion after that. But having the CDC, having the American Cancer Society, having these universities here, it's like a beating heart, if you will, and it gives us easy access to resources that a lot of other places might not have, and now we need to capitalize on it.
Right. If I could add to that, EJ,
Please.
think of the agricultural example. You can't have a strong agricultural business without fertile land. Well, the same is true. You can't have a growing technology sector without the fertility that comes from the university and the professional services and infrastructure around it. It has to be more than just desire. So Atlanta is already doing the right things. It still has a lot of growth to go. But if you look at the other examples that have succeeded in the US in particular, but also in Europe, it all comes down to having an environment where you have access to these professional people, professional services, talented skill set for labor.
Right.
Not everyone has to be a scientist to be successful in this thing. People that are growing and coming out of high school and going to junior colleges and community colleges, there are good paying jobs if this sector continues to grow here as pharmaceutical professionals. So it's a whole potpourri of ingredients that allow it to continue to grow.
I love the agricultural example. I'm going to have to use that in the future. That's a good one. I mean, you can't grow corn without, fertile land.
Yeah,
we should have signed
an agreement before I spoke.
Yeah.
That's trademark by Colellis, by the way. One thing that we haven't mentioned, we have a port too. I mean, we have access to the ocean. It's not just the busiest airport in the world. It's, we also have the ability to bring, product in and raw materials in by ship.
Mhm.
So
And they just have announced an expansion too. So
Yeah.
they continue to expand.
yeah, I can tell you and I'll probably get yelled at for this, but one of the biggest frustrations I had when I was up north is the port was a little bit slow up there. We haven't had that problem getting product down,
Yeah.
getting it through down here. So
And we have weather that we can operate in year round. I mean,
Right.
imagine there's some states half the year they are indoors, you know. We have just so many advantages here. So
And thank you. And I'm going to sign you all up to go on my next marketing trip or on my next marketing Zoom call as we do this. But one of the things that we work very hard at is making sure that we do have that educated workforce. And I know you know the Georgia Bio Institute has done several things. With state has funded their training of not only inside the metro Atlanta area, but across the state, teaching science teachers how to teach students in STEM. And companies have been vital. Our life sciences community has been vital in providing some of the products to be able to do that with too. It continues to be funded. And I fully anticipate that it will be again in a growing area for us. So I think that's key. You mentioned the community college system. I mean, you're no more than an hour away from a community college in the state of Georgia, and to be able to have those programs and grow them up for those folks who are not the scientists. So I think that's another positive thing that we bring to the table. If you could have a wish list of what you would want to do today to grow your business in Georgia, what would that be? That's part one of the question. And number two is, how would you be willing to work with other Georgia companies to help you accomplish that? That's a surprise one, guys. Sorry.
I'll chime in if you like, while the other gentlemen have a moment to think about it. So it might be a little above my pay grade. I'm, sales manager. I'm not running organizations at the level that Scott or Mike are, but I will say I've had a frustrating experience the last year with some of the bureaucracy involved. For example, getting the proper permits for our multi-million-dollar expansion has pushed us back further than we would have liked. I would like to see the ability to negotiate energy rates. If we're going to use, if we're investing in the community and hiring resources and bringing in projects, the amount of energy we use is astronomical, and the price of energy has a big effect on our ability to acquire business profitably. So those are a couple that come to mind. Anyway.
Good. And I think that sometimes that people don't realize, and I'll say this to this group, that, we have representatives in every region, the department does, with some of those kind of things too. But yeah, I think those are key to a lot of folks in what's, and
cut through the red tape.
Yes. And Scott, you want to tap on that one a little bit and share some information?
Yeah, I think for me, the wish list is pretty simple. I love more capital, right? I mean, who wouldn't? But we're talking, it's there's avenues we have to get that. I think that and I'll take the blame for not making this happen more so, is to really get tied in with more senior folks in government to understand, have them understand what our capabilities are here. You mentioned the CDC is here. There's just so much, I think, right now I would love to get more involved with and get folks at the highest level in Georgia government to understand what our capabilities are here, so they can have those larger conversations up in Washington when we're talking about bringing product back. My wish list is simple. I want to grow. The way you grow is through capital and through either inorganic or organic growth. And it's not that complicated. You have a good business, you can do it. You just need the right partners. The second part of your question, would I work with other Georgia companies? Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, like I said earlier, Mike and I have worked together, and you know, we're competitors, but you know, there's enough to go around, and I absolutely think that the way you succeed in Georgia is by working with your peers. There's certain things, obviously, that Mike and I won't ever be able to talk about. That's okay. But yeah, I mean, the more that you can, you know, get smart people around you, the more successful you're going to be.
And you and Mike are kind of the reason that I brought that question up, because I hear you guys on a regular basis working back and forth together. Mike, you want take a stab at the question?
Well, for us, my wish list, I can echo both the things that both Aaron and Scott said, but for me and for my cart right now, as we plan our growth, what I'm used to coming from a biotech center in the country is to have as much support as is reasonably available to us. I'm talking about government support in terms of our growth. Nobody on this panel, I'm sure, is looking for handouts, but there is plenty of support that could be needed, similar to what the Carolinas do, you know, to get people to go to RTP. So if we're going to continue to grow here and expand facilities here, it's a significant investment, and we're willing to make the vast majority of that investment and take the biggest risk in it. But sometimes it's hard to go it alone. So I would love to see some kind of government support at the state level, perhaps, similar to what other states have done. That would be very, very helpful to us. We'll take care of everything else. We have the science under control. We have the marketing and sales expertise. We will continue to grow our businesses as this one has grown for 45 years, as Scott's has grown for 35 years, as Aaron's has been here globally, in fact, in his case. But some support in that area would be very helpful. Then we can keep manufacturing jobs in Atlanta and in Georgia in particular.
Excellent, excellent. And we talked about the impact that that your companies have on global medicine and through this COVID and before and after, and how we go forward with that. And we've talked about the ports and the airport being important, and that ground game being important for you. What do you see as your next step? If we are, let's clear ourselves of COVID. Let's clear ourselves. Put your crystal ball in front of you. What's your next step that you would like to achieve yourself? If you can just tap your company and yourself. And I'll start with Scott on this one.
You know, look, like I said, there is tremendous opportunity, you know, organically here. There's always opportunities outside the company that everybody looks at. We have a strategic plan. We're looking at refining that. It's a 3 to 5 year. You know, obviously can't go into a whole lot of detail about that, but you know, our job is really, you know, we do a few things, right? One is we provide medicine to people. We never lose sight of that. It's the most important thing that we do, and quality is always going to be #1. So we need to never waver from that. We want to do more of that, right? So again, adding different services that maybe, you know, can help support our customers if they would have to go outside of our organization. Yet we, you know, we want to try and offer as much as they can so they have a one-stop shop. You know, I do believe that, you know, new medicines are coming, right? Whether, you know, we have a lot of smart people at this organization that study this and know it a heck of a lot better than I do. I don't even pretend to get into it. But there are other opportunities, other ways to look at developing medicine that we're looking at. You know, we need to consider, where does that fit in with the 3 and 5 year plan, and even further on out. So, you know, for me, the company and my personal goals, they're the same. I mean, I you know, like Aaron, like Mike, I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love this company. And I feel good every morning getting up knowing that I make medicine that helps people. We have some pretty impressive medicines that go out every day, millions and millions of people. So the success of this company is my success. And you know, that's you know, I live it, I eat it, sleep it. And you know, both in our, you know, growth internally and externally is key. And like I said, I apologize, I can't go into a whole lot of detail with our strat plan, but there are different methods that we can use to help develop medicines faster. Everybody knows there's AI, there's continuous manufacturing. There are lots of things that we can do, and as we continue to grow as an organization, bring on new clients, they're going to force us to go that way anyway. So that's my 2 minutes on that.
Excellent. And Aaron and Mike, if you want to take a quick hit at that, and then we've gotten the 5-minute warning, so we want to give a chance. If anybody's got any questions, you can put them in chat, or and we will ask them too. So,
Well,
Mike,
I'll be quick then. Essentially what's next for us is we're going to double our business in the next 5 years. And the way we're going to do that is by increasing our capabilities. And that means increasing our footprint and our employee base here in the Northwest Atlanta area is our preference. And that's why I talked about the support earlier on.
absolutely.
So that's what our intentions are. And go ahead, Aaron, because time.
I almost wish I'd gone first, because now I'm just going to sound like I'm copying the two of you. Increasing capabilities is number one for us, because technology is changing quickly. So we just bought a company that everyone wants electronics in their devices these days. We've always been the plastic expert. So we bought a company that does electronics and brought that in-house, that capability. We're hiring, we have 30 open positions in Peachtree City right now. We are increasing our capabilities, plain and simple. So.
Well, guys, I just want to take a minute to say thank you for doing this with us. Thank you for what you do in Georgia and around the globe to impact patients. And it just a little quick, we're not getting many questions coming here, but just a little quick to talk about, Georgia does 17 billion exports a year in medical devices. Life sciences on top of that is quite large in what they do. The ports, the airport, the UPS, the FedEx, all of those things I think have an impact on the global supply of medicine and all things in life sciences around the globe. And we're proud to have you as partners and as we grow there. And I just can't say thank you enough for what you do. So if there's one last single word or two that you guys have before our time ends, please share now.
I think we're already headed in the right direction. I know that sometime in the near future after this call, I'm going to be reaching out to Mike and Scott separately and trying to see what I can do to maybe add them to our preferred supplier network, so that projects we're working on that require their services aren't having to go elsewhere in the States. Because honestly, before our association with Georgia Bio, I didn't know about your companies, Mike and Scott, and the services you provide. But there's no reason for us to use an aseptic filler in the Carolinas, for example, when we've got that sort of services in our own backyard. So I'm already grateful for the strengthening relationships and working together that's going to come of this. And that's me.
Guys, that's the community of life sciences in Georgia that exists, and we continue to do better. That makes all the difference. So we thank you for all of that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks all for joining us today too. Any questions there? Well, we appreciate your time. Please know that, Georgia Department of Economic Development and Georgia Bio and anyone in the life sciences arena is here to help you. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.